Hi, this is Conj from Celestial Rhythms again. Well, today, 9th of September 2020, this is a big day, a big energy shift, several big energy shifts actually, to be very clear. This is really getting us into a whole new energy pattern. As I mentioned, this is really the countdown into the golden age we're in, the great golden age, and now we are starting to feel the serious birthing pains from here on forward into November the 2nd for sure, and probably still unfolding in its full glory into December 21st, when we will have the full perspective of where we are going. So between now and then, these are 4 critical months, and particularly the next few weeks will be biblical, as if it hadn't been already biblical in the last few months. So in short, today several things happen. Yesterday night it started with the Sun entering hexagram 47. That is when the Sun crosses the 17 degrees mark of Virgo. Then today, heliocentrically, Mars will first enter Aries, and a few hours later Mars, as seen from Earth, will station and turn retrograde. Mars is now brightly visible in the skies. If you step out in the evening at night, it's the red planet, very prominent, and it is so because Earth is passing between Sun and Mars for the next few weeks. So that means we are in that period now where Mars is closest to Earth and therefore also has the strongest direct impact on what's happening down here on Earth. Mars in its own sign, Aries. This has been on already since quite a few months, and as Mars now stations here at 28 degrees, very shy of entering the next sign, going back for the next 7 weeks, exactly in line with Sun and Earth on October the 13th. That's just one day after Jupiter will be stationing, and then further going backwards till November the 13th. From then on, Mars will go direct again all the way into January the 6th. So this is a very long time. Mars is in its own sign of dominion, of head-on focus on obstacles and resolving what is in the way of progress. Now, whenever a planet goes backwards, this is a renovation phase. I have mentioned Mars going retrograde already months ago, that this would be a very critical phase between, as I say, September the 9th and November the 13th, which would be a remodeling of many things, taking action on things which were overdue to be shifted and changed. It so happens that the black moon is here very close by. There already was one exact conjunction between those two, and as Mars now is turning and going backwards, it will make another conjunction with the black moon soon, and then again later. I guess it will be already in January, because the black moon now moves ahead. So this is a long time influence, the black moon being the difficulties, the shadows, the darkness, all the riots, all the burning and looting, that's all very much Mars black moon. And Aries naturally is also involved. Aries, the goddess, named after the goddess, I should say, who threw the golden apple of discord in the middle of the table, according to the Greek mythology, causing the Trojan Wars. So the influence of Aries here is to stifle the conflict, to become openly visible. So everybody is having to involve themselves and make up their minds to bring out the best in everyone, to fight for truth and a higher sense of equilibrium on truth and justice. So it is, unless only when things are brought into the open, we have the chance to really resolve them. That's the whole idea of Aries energy input here. So yes, and then there's also one more alignment which is happening today between those two moments, when Mars is turning first moving into Aries, which will happen in Washington DC at 1:47 p.m. That's just a couple hours away from when I do this recording here. And then a few hours later, heliocentric PALLAS and Saturn will have a conjunction. That's also an event which only happens once every 5 years approximately. So that's very powerful too. PALLAS is about truth, justice. It's the goddess who often is depicted having a blindfold and a scale in one hand, and the other hand a sword. Saturn, the planet of karma, of bringing law and order, of bringing a new structure, particularly in its own sign, Capricorn. So that is happening at 3:35 p.m. today in Washington time, and then, as I said, Mars will station. The exact time will be 6:23 p.m. So I want to show you a few things here, and I decided I cut it in two. So in this first part I will just start here, go back a little bit to the full moon of September the 2nd. That's just 7 days ago, which brought us into this 2-week period with the sun at the sunrise point in Greenwich for the global manifestation, if you want, in that T-square, which I pointed out before already, with Nessus and Huia, which is all about bringing the dark stuff into focus, Nessus, and healing it, bringing a new way of dealing with all these energies, and also with Orcus doing the alchemy, shifting the lower frequencies into higher frequencies, turning lead into gold at best. That is the idea of alchemy, and this is naturally a paraphrase for energetic work, for changing our anger and whatever our dark emotional energies and refining them centering ourselves into our hearts and bringing unity and love and compassion and empathy into this world, which is so important, which is very needed, which is really the bedrock of the changes which are coming, that we have now a substantial number already of individuals who are vibrating on these higher frequencies, and these people work overtime right now to help all the rest of the world's population to come to that same place, to wake up out of all these deceptions and lies and whatnot, which have been fed to us, which so many people are still totally engulfed in. So that is really a process, and to get there will be a few bigger events necessary to shake people out of their doubts, of their misbelief, and to bring them on board. So this is what's starting to happen pretty much from today on forward for the next 6 weeks, 7 weeks, and the next 3 weeks will be most basic in that sense to get that started, jump started. There will be several possibilities that this may unfold. Julian Assange is in the picture right now. He's being most likely extradited to the United States very shortly. His hearings started on the 7th, and as I understand, yesterday they streamed some of the hearings even live. Then there's a whole bunch of possibilities of high-level people in the former presidential administration to be finally brought to justice. The Durham report is overdue. It's September, just a few weeks to the big elections, so the September surprise, which is traditionally the time when the huge bombshells are released for people to fully realize where they're at with all the different ways to go into the next 4 years. So all this is coming to a peak in the next few weeks. Now I will show you a bit the fine print here in astrology. For those of you who are interested in learning astrology, this shows you how mundane astrology works. So we always start naturally with a birth chart, and the American nation's chart has proven to be very accurate in helping us to predict events. Just note the 13-degree Sag rising as well as the 13-degree Cancer Sun. These 2 degrees will show up again in multiple ways, which tell us in a nutshell that the focus is on the American nation. So I did show this one just, which means there was that new beginning a week ago. We are in this new energies, and it's certainly widely visible. Nobody will doubt that. There was quite a huge energy shift in that time frame. That was also when Saturn heliocentrically changed signs into Aquarius, putting in that first leg. Jupiter will follow October 12th. That is, as I said, just pretty much the same day as Mars will exactly line up with Sun and Earth. and then they will have their conjunction Saturn and Jupiter as seen from the Sun on November the 2nd. This gave me goosebumps when I first saw it. This is so amazing to see that this is right at the eve of the big elections, and this is in itself a highly auspicious sign that there will be a huge energy shift around that time. And also it implies that despite all the rumors of having to wait for election results for days or weeks, most likely the situation will be such that we will know immediately, as we should, as we always have. That means at the end of the day we will know November the 3rd, probably around 10-11 p.m. Eastern Daylight or Standard Time, I guess, at that point. So that's my short prediction on that. And naturally, just putting water into the river here, naturally, as I said many times, it's very clear there will be a landslide win for President Trump. There's no question in that. I did already predict that weeks after his inauguration in 2017 that there will be a landslide win in 2020. Anyway, let's just get here a bit deeper into what I wanted to say today. So, okay, if we overlay the 64 hexagrams over the zodiac, then this is the line where a new energy kicks in at 17 degrees Virgo. This is hexagram 47. The Sun will express through the next 6 days. 47, oppression, exhaustion, which is a pretty difficult hexagram energy. And it's the containment of what is wrong. That is kind of the idea of limiting the energy flow to whatever is out of balance, and to bring it over to the other side, which is hexagram 22, where Earth has at the same time entered in, and where Neptune is. There will be a Neptune Earth conjunction in 2 days, as seen from the Sun. So that is hexagram 22, which is grace, which is an interesting polarity. On one hand we have 47, exhaustion, oppression, and on the other side, beauty. So it almost is a polarizing effect to bring out all the wonderful things against the backdrop of all that is dysfunctional and wrong. So this is just a 6-day period. I just brought this chart up because, again, it's a sunrise chart for Greenwich. So this kind of underlines what I said a week ago, that we are moving into new field of manifestations, and this has just been underlined with this ingress chart. And I just want to point out a few alignments in this chart which are valid for the whole day. Means in all these different charts which we will be looking at for today as we go, these planetary alignments will be the same. So first of all, Mercury here aligning with Maki and Salacia. This is a very interesting opposition which speaks of the remake of reality. Salacia is a energy which makes us to enjoy what we do. So it's an enjoyable recreation of reality. And this is these two outer minor planets, they're very far away, slow moving, have only been discovered in the last 2 decades, somewhere around. They move so slow that they are almost at same speed. So from Earth's point of view, these two will make multiple oppositions between 2017 and 2029. So this is quite an interesting pair of energies, and with Mercury tuning into this is telling us that right now, with all these energy shifts, a window will be opened. We will see new possibilities of recreating reality, and this will come back and be activated many more times in the next decade or so. Then there is the lunar nodes. Okay, the north node with Aspolus, that is interesting. That has been exact already a few days ago. It's still within close range. Aspolus is the seer among the Centaur planets. It focuses in on dark energies, wants to know what's going on under the cover. There's a secrecy around it, but also there's some healing going on, because there's the orbit of that Centaur planet shows a golden means relation, which means there's a deeper harmony in piercing through and looking into the dark and understanding the patterns and the workings of all these shady energies. So there's lots of enlightenment in this too, to see deeper, and all of a sudden things fall in place. It is interesting that this nodal axis, which in a nutshell is bringing higher wisdom down to Earth, to translate it so everybody understands. The black moon is forming an exact sextile here, and the black moon is forming a square to Saturn and another square to Juno. So there's a T-square here, which is very active right now. There's also Haumea, another of the creation planets related to the Hawaiian legend of creation. She's a fire god, so there's quite a lineup of energies. There's Chariklo too, Chariklo the midwife, birthing a new vision, and this is related to Saturn, who first has to come and clean the slate, enforce law and order. And this is not a nice process at first, naturally. This is quite difficult, this square. So the nodes, all that recognition of what has been going wrongly, are directly linked to all that karmic action. Juno is the asteroid of teamwork, of uniting, working together, understanding that there needs many pillars to hold a big roof, that we all have to work in harmony with one another to create something magnificent, to come together onto the same page. And I talked about that several times. This is a prominent asteroid in the American chart. Just quickly showing you once more. It is up in the 10th house here in this exact opposition to Chiron, the healer, the wounded healer, which again, the story goes that before something can be healed, first it has to be felt in all its pains and in all its difficulties. It is the process of love and of compassion which finally heals all that division which the American nation has been, what's really the right word here, been exposed to. I guess that's the best way to say it. It's been methodically done over many years, many decades, or even centuries. That deception goes so deep, and that is all being dismantled now on all the many layers. So anyway, I want to add a few more things before I will cut it off here. So okay, so this is I will skip this chart not to make it too long. So this is now the heliocentric Mars ingress chart, which, as I say, in Washington is at 1:47 p.m. in Greenwich, the global timing, close to 6 p.m. Now this is the geocentric chart for that moment, how we are experiencing this down here on Earth, and Mars is changing signs. What stands out here is the Sun, exactly T-squaring midheaven, which is the most yang point in a chart. So we can expect more and more people engaging, going out to the street, pulling their masks off, demanding sovereignty and freedom. And that is what we will see happening also with this 17 degree Sagittarius. That is hexagram 26, the taming power of the great. That is the name of that hexagram. 45 is when all the energies come together. It is the gathering, people coming together, working together, hexagram 45 in there with BNR, the strong man. It again underlines what I said before. It is the people taking back the power. That is a longer period which is initiated with Mars, Aries, ingress heliocentrically. This probably is about a 2-month period. I would have to look it up. Mars takes 2 years plus to move once around the Sun, so you can divide that by 12. So it's about a 2-month period into November. Again, pretty much synchronistic with Mars backward motion as seen from Earth, which is kicking in just a few hours later, which I find really amazing. That synchronicity. First Mars heliocentrically shifts into Aries. That is now the heliocentric chart, which is cast for Washington. And I just want to point out one more time here that square of Huya, the rain god in Venezuela, that's what this body was named after. It's about working through past karma and healing. Orcus, Nessus. Just pointing this out, I told you what these mean before. Interesting also is, let me see, what note did I make here? Right, Mercury at Deucalion, Mercury-Deucalion conjunction. Deucalion is the same character as Noah, who built an ark, who prepared for some huge changes, put in the necessary guardrails, precautions. So with Mercury lined up here, this is something which will become increasingly important to prepare, and many of these preparations already are happening in the background. This is just a confirmation of that too. And then let me see. Yeah, I guess that's the main thing here. I could say so many things more. I really want to keep it not too long here, so you can still digest it. This is just in short the midpoint chart between that moment when Mars enters Aries heliocentrically in its own sign energetically. This is always a powerful thing when the heliocentric planet is in the same sign as we experience it down here on Earth. And again, this is all geometry based on the cardinal points of Earth's intersection, Earth's axis intersection with the Sun's motion means the solstice points and the equinox points. That's the 4 suspension points, if you want. Our reality is aligned with the greater cosmos. In that sense, I should say the tropical zodiac, which we are using here in Western astrology, is really nothing similar to the constellations out there that just bear the same names. That's a little confusing for many people, naturally. Not the best choice for sure, but that's how it has been named and we cannot change that. So if we speak of the tropical sign of Aries, that is the time when the spring equinox happens and the first 30 degrees between spring equinox and summer solstice as seen from the northern hemisphere of Earth. So yeah, I just want to mention this here once more. The same, pretty much the same ascendant as the American chart, this midpoint chart, as was this one here. You see they're all very similar. 1122, the midpoint is 1218, and the natal American chart is 13 degrees. So this is a sign that there is an amplification of these energies, that it is very much in line with the nation's basic approach of dealing with reality. So it's a double whammy, if you want. And Mars, again, strongly placed in this chart too, at the 7th house cusp of the American nation here in the midpoints. Together with Pluto, approaching Pluto, another sign that yes, big shifts, changes are just about getting real. 0 degree Aries at the source point. That I guess speaks for itself. And then let's look into now Mars. I guess I am okay. I'm a little bit torn here. I guess I share it all in once because it's all the same thing here. I don't want to cut it short. Okay, so now this is heliocentric Pallas Saturn conjunction, as I mentioned before. That is just happening between those two moments when Mars is first entering here it is at 5:47 p.m. in Greenwich versus at 7:35 p.m. Saturn Pallas conjunction, and then finally at 10:23 p.m. Mars is stationing, coming to a full halt, kicking into this renovation phase, initiating that. And this is now the global chart. What is interesting here is that the moon all the time in all these three charts is at this T-square point again with Nessus and Orcus, just underlining that same theme again of transmuting darkness, transmuting all the pathological energies which are still very prominent on our planet. This again is the 7th house cusp of the American nation, 12:30 Gemini, 13 degrees. You see, it's all interlinking. That's how astrology works. There have also always to be all these many activations, if you want, and there are. It's like a web, a spider's web, and if everything is aligning perfectly, then the guardrails are in and things can start happening. The energies will be directed in a certain ways. So this is the midpoint chart now between the Mars station and the American nation's chart. And again you see the 13 degree Cancer this time. The American nation's birth sun is at 1319. Again highlighted. Very interesting I find is this last, pretty much at the last moment in Aries, this moon here, midpoint moon. Again, you remember Mars stations at 28 something in Aries, so again Mars, moon. And then there's this guy here, TX300, which hasn't been named yet, which according to astrological research is very bold and really like an elephant in the porcelain store, as we used to say. So this is showing that yes, the people's power, moon related to the people in the nation's chart, is just coming out of the closet, and there will be a real revolution. This is the second American Revolution we are really seeing here unfolding in front of our eyes. And make sure you're on the right side of history, and helping all that to come out into the open, to be birthed, to be worked through. This is a great time to be alive. Absolutely. I'm very blessed. I feel very blessed to be here and be able to share that all with you. Let me see. Last but not least, I have here the Mars synodic chart. That is when the Sun and Mars will be exactly opposing one another, as seen from Earth. And you see, here is the Sun, we are here on Earth, and Mars is farther out, so there's this direct alignment in October 13. Why I chose this chart is again because of the degree. 2104 the Sun will be in Libra, and 2104 Mars will be in Aries. And I just want to zoom back here once more. That is again the Juno Chiron opposition, which I mentioned before. So this really is as much as I want to say right now. I could, as I say, tons and tons of additional things to underline and enforce what I'm telling you here. But this is now, we are in the birth canal, in the birthing of the great golden age, and we all are feeling the birthing pains. Thank you so much for listening, and talk to you soon again. And just be strong, be yourself, and know that we are succeeding. We will create this new reality, and it will be a creation which is supported by all of us. Thanks for tuning in, and if you enjoyed it, maybe give it a like, and maybe even share it. Thank you so much. Have a lovely day.